Hi everyone, this is Pastor Craig. I wanted to share this short video message with you as preparation for the first of our congregational conversations this coming Sunday. Those conversations will happen at the end of each of our worship services. So after the traditional service ends, we'll remain in the sanctuary for our conversation together with not only me, but with our leadership team as well. And we'll do the exact same thing at the end of the bridge service. So I invite you to be here Sunday, and if you cannot be here in person, please know that we'll be live streaming the congregational conversation as well. So even if you're not here, you'll be able to participate. These conversations are about the strategy and the future of our church. Our leadership team has been working over the past several months to think about the things we need to do as a church that will prepare us for the future that we're living into. As I've shared with you over the summer, our congregation has seen a tremendous amount of transition, not only due to the pandemic, but also pastoral transitions and staff transitions that in many cases have left us a little confused about what our direction needs to be. And our leadership team has taken seriously the work of thinking about that strategy and praying about that strategy for our future together as a congregation. Anytime we think about strategic planning or the direction that we want to take as a church, it always starts with thinking first about our values. What are some of the timeless values that hold our church together? What kind of values have always been true in the life of First Free, in good times and even in bad times or challenging times? Those values then inform what the mission of our church is. And the mission of our church is the reason why we exist. Why are we here? Why do we gather in this place? And why is this church important, not only in this community of Queen Anne, but also in the greater Seattle area? When we can answer that question about mission, then we begin to understand better our vision as a congregation. And as you know, over the month of September and in October, we talked about the vision of our church: to love people, connect to Jesus, and serve the world. That vision in some ways is a snapshot of what we look like as a church when we're accomplishing our mission. The work of our leadership team over the past several months and the work that I've been trying to do as the pastor of our church is to help us now understand what direction does this church need to point toward, or what direction do we need to move in so we look more and more like that vision. Again, that vision is to love people, connect to Jesus, and serve the world. Our leadership team wants to put forward to all of you in this congregation what some of its wonderings are about that future and what directions we might take. So far, we've determined that we as a congregation need to move in the direction of reaching new people. Now, new people becomes very important for us because we're not talking about reaching people who used to go to this church or maybe go to another church. When we talk about new people, we're talking about people new to the faith. We want to be a church that's reaching people in the city and in this community who don't know the Lord. And so reaching new people needs to be at the center of the direction that our church needs to take. As an extension to that, we also want to reach young people in a way we've never reached them before. Not only teenagers and children, but also young adults, emerging communities. This could be people even moving into the region because of school or because of work. These are individuals that we want to reach with the message of Jesus Christ, regardless of how old they are, but especially focusing on young people, knowing they very much can be a part of the life of the church right now, today. We've also thought about moving in the direction of enhancing our digital ministry, realizing that there are communities of people that may never come into this place, our sanctuary, but may gather with us online. And how can we hold that community in a way that is equally valid to those who gather here in person in this space? Our leadership has thought about moving in a direction of increasing the racial ethnic diversity of our congregation, its cultural texture, if you will, so that we reflect what the city of Seattle has in it, this rich cosmopolitan movement of people coming from around the world into this place. We also want our congregation to look just like the city in which we find ourselves. And finally, our leadership team has really been thinking about what it would mean for this congregation to be mobilized in mission even more than it has been. This church has historically supported missionaries from around the world. What would it look like for our church to re-engage in mission work in a new way by helping people in our congregation share in short-term mission trips and maybe even other individuals who feel called to long-term missions? How can we be involved in missions beyond financially supporting missionaries, but actually become a church that's sending missionaries into the world and even church planting here in our own region? We want to be a church that's not only growing within, but also a church that's growing outside of its four walls into the world. That's what our congregational conversation is about. Included in this message that you're receiving, you'll find a picture of what our church's budget looks like during the year 2022. It'll give you a good idea about how we allocate some of our financial assets to make the investments we've been making, and that'll lay the foundation for helping understand some of the shifts we want to make potentially in 2023 to begin moving in some of these new directions. I hope you'll take time to study that document, look it over carefully, and come ready to hear even more about how our congregation can move into a hopeful new future. For now, I look forward to welcoming you after each one of our worship services on November 13th, and then again on December 4 when we have our second conversation together. For now, I would simply encourage you to be in prayer. Prayer not only for our leadership team, prayer for the pastoral team and the staff of the church, and prayer for our whole church as we seek to be the congregation God has called us to be during this time and in this place. God bless you, and we'll see you Sunday.